You're watching New Car Spin. I'm your host, Brian, and this is the 2020 BMW X5. It's the M50i, which doesn't mean it's an X5M. It's actually one level below that. It is the V8 twin turbocharged 500 something horsepower. Well, you know, it's an X5. So, give you a little bit of background here. Well, actually, before I give you the background, I want to tell you a little fun fact. I own a BMW M Roadster, 2000 M Roadster, and I own a Volvo S60, the Spa platform, and I'm driving a BMW X5. And if you know what the connection is between all three of these vehicles, put it in the comments below and leave me a thumbs up. And if you don't know what the connection is, stay tuned to the end and I'll tell you what it is. So, BMW came out with the X5. It was their first SUV back during the 1996 Olympics, and I actually saw the prototype when I was a kid because my dad worked at a BMW dealer. And as far as I can tell, the X5 only has two traits from that original one. And the first trait is not the key, but it is the tailgate, because it is a split tailgate, which the Rolls-Royce Phantom does, and the Range Rover does. I think the Lexus LX 570 does as well. But it's good to see the X5 still does it, because it is, it's not a cheap thing to implement. Alright, so the other trait that the X5 still has, it's definitely not on the inside. This is a 2020, and for 2019 they totally updated the model, but as far as changes between 2019 and 2020, I wouldn't be sure. But I'll show you the only other thing I can find that is reminiscent of the original. Well, sorta. It doesn't look like it, but it's not the engine. Well, actually it could be, because they did have a V8 back then and they still have a V8 now. It is the center of gravity. So in the original X5, BMW's first SUV, they touted the fact that the engine was low down, yet the ride height was elevated. And that gave it the sporty driving characteristic, which this one still kind of has. And I have a lot of friends who have these cars. I can't recommend you buy one of these. I've had it for a week and it took me a long time to get used to it. We will drive this. Just show you the front, show you the back. This is a coffee leather, merino, I think it is, leather. Not as smooth as I would get in the Audi Q8 in my Q8 video that like a million people have watched, literally. And it's not as nice as the Range Rover Velar, which I drove last week, and that's on my YouTube channel as well. But you'll notice here, the back seats, the depth of the cushion here is actually bigger than the front seats. Now these bolsters, or the squab is actually fully extended here, but if you just look at the depth of this seat, it's not impressive. Nor are the bolsters here. It's just not a nice enough seat. And that's weird, because BMW usually has the best seats in the business. And these are articulating backrests. You can see the little crook, what do you want to call that? The nook right there. So the backrest folds up like this. And my problem with this seat is that it's way too damn small. And sitting in it, I can sit in it and look straight down, and there's like no seat on the side. Now my M Roadster from 2000, the seat bolsters come out, and it is an M Roadster, and this is an M version. I expect the seats to be better than this. So what I would say is definitely upgrade to the seats that offer the massage feature, because this one costs $97,000, and I wouldn't pay that for this. Although it is a V8 powered X5, I'm just hesitant to tell you that this is a great car. And I'm not really certain it's a terrible car, but there are two problems with this X5. And they're both options. The first one is the dynamic steering package, which increases the steering ratio and reduces the effort to turn. It almost feels like four-wheel steering, but it isn't. It's way too sensitive. And I know certain drivers who have YouTube channels that'll go unnamed always bitch and complain about the steering. People like Matt Farah always say, oh, it's numb, it doesn't communicate, and blah, blah, blah. This steering is so damn delicate. It's too delicate. And you can never really predict where you're pointing the car. I like electromechanical steering, but I dislike this BMW's version of it. Also, the suspension in here is that dynamic package. Let me see if I can get the window sticker for you. Here we go. Oh, here it is. All right. So let's check this out for a second. 2020 X5 M50i starts at 82, but then it has the Driver's Assistance Pro package, which is okay. But you see that third option there with the price, $2,600, the dynamic handling package? That is terrible. The active roll stabilization, everything that it does, causes it to bounce. It just constantly just goes like this, and it's not BMW smooth. And the problem is when you get up to speed, or you're getting on a freeway or something, and you hit a corner with the weird steering that it has, and then you hit a bump that you don't expect, it's all over the place, and it's very it's not satisfying, especially when you're doing 70, 80, 90, 100 miles an hour in this thing, because it can easily do that, and you won't even notice until you look down. So the problem is you're like hopping around, and you're in these tiny seats, and you're not supported, and you've got this terrible steering, and you see where I'm going with this? Nothing in this car makes sense. I mean, yes, it's sporty, and it's an M, and we're going to drive it right now. Oh, I didn't show you the full price. $97,195. So if you are new to my channel, please like, subscribe, comment. I read all the comments. I hope you're staying safe and enjoying your time at home. Today's my last day of freedom here in Dallas. We will be under a shelter-in-place order starting midnight tonight, Monday. So this is probably my last press car. I don't know. We'll see. I have other videos I'm going to be working on, but essentially the way I do my videos is I do not edit and I do not cut my videos. I just keep rolling. So if you've never seen my videos before, this is kind of how it goes. All digital displays. I mean, we can have different setups for this. I've actually minimized it. Here we have infrared lights that beam to my face to determine if I'm too drowsy or, I don't know, not paying attention to the road. I've minimized the gauges, so now we see that it's in park and zero. Although if you do put it in drive, you can almost be confused here. They almost look exactly alike, the D and the zero. And what else? We have all this stuff here. I'm not really sure that this updated iDrive is any better. I'm not a fan of these really weird feeling buttons. It's hard to tell as you're driving along. You know, you're focused and you want to change the driving mode and you're hopping and you can't see. Everything's kind of bouncing. You're like, what am I pressing? Because there's glare and I can't see the letters. Like, what is this one? So I'm not a fan of this whole setup, and BMW is doing this in all their cars right now, and I can't suggest that it's good. Of course, we have storage in here, USB, blah, 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 blah. No one cares about the horsepower, and I know that because no one cares about the size of the disc brakes. No one cares about the towing capacity. When you get one of these babies, you care about how fast it goes. So it's time to show you that. Because in this day and age, it's all about social distancing, isn't it? So when you put your seatbelt on, it tucks it in, pulls out the slack. A lot of the German cars do that these days. You push the button on the side here, pull it down. I don't know why people complain about the way this is set up. It seems logical to me. Park and brake automatically shuts off. Hill descent control. Although there are no four-wheel drive settings, even though this is all-wheel drive and an SUV, it's not really capable of doing too much off-road. But it is capable of doing a lot on-road. So we're going to do that right now. Let me go right. We do have auto stop start, and that can be disabled right here. And we're going to put it in adaptive mode right now. which means it's constantly monitoring the situation to determine which mode to be in. The default is comfort, and even in comfort mode, it's just too jarring and bouncy in here. And my only other issue here, and this is on the V8 specifically, is there's a lot of turbo lag off the line compared to the power you're expecting when you're nailing it. Okay, so that was obviously comfort. We'll put it in sport. There's two modes, sport and sport plus. Let's get out of the way of the gardener guy here. So we are in Sport Plus, and it is immediately bouncy in here. We have concrete roads with expansion joints, and no exaggeration, you might see the camera bounce up and down, but you can see the fat on me jiggling. And they do say that 80% of BMW buyers don't even test drive their cars, and probably about 75% of them have more than 10% body fat. Okay, so that's in regular drive mode. And of course we have our paddles. It's an 8-speed automatic. It's not a dual clutch. It's not really all out sporty. It's not an official M in my mind, because I do own an M. But if we put it over here into sport mode, now we're in Sport Plus. Transmission's in sport. And, with these great advantage, the what do you want to say, the clear roads, the lack of work these days, what we do have is the ability to try out these cars. So this might be my last time for the next couple of days or weeks or months, so we might as well take advantage of it. Alright, I'm going to fully stop and let this traffic go by. I wish I could tell you more about this X5 in a great way, but in reality, I drove that Range Rover Velar SV Autobiography, and that kind of spoiled me. It was also $97,000, same price, different size. Clear, let's go. Everyone merges here. Beyond the obvious, which is it sounds great and it's, fast, it doesn't have a third row. Back there's no third row. Up front, the seats are small. It bounces around a lot in comfort mode too. And, there's a lot of greenhouse space. You see all this space around me, which is obviously more spacious than the Land Rover Velar. Now, the Land Rover SVs, whether it's the Range Rover Sport, or the Velar, they're supercharged V8s, just like the Jaguar SVR F-Pace. This is a turbo, and so off the line, I'm just, getting out of that getting out of that Velar and into this, I do feel a difference. You might say, oh, it's so fast you wouldn't know, but I do know. But, you do pick up speed in here, and it's very hard to resist the temptation to listen to that glorious BMW tuned exhaust. But the ride in comfort mode, let's put it back into Sport Plus. Feel that? You hear that? I can actually hear a tool in the back, like some kind of like tire iron or some kind of thing. Something back there is loose, and I can hear it jostling around once in a while. And I'm just on the freeway in Sport Plus mode. So I do not recommend this handling package or this steering, because it's also very, very delicate to stay in a straight line on the freeway. I'm always adjusting, and what it does is it adds fatigue to your drive. 40 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, however long you expect to drive to maybe your cabin, this is going to wear you out. And I can't say that it's a good option. I mean, and I wouldn't even say this car is overpriced. What I'm trying to say is I just do not like it. We'll get back on the freeway. On-ramps are a great place to test acceleration, don't you agree? Speed limit's 70. Alright, we'll go to the Churchill Road there and take the ramp and go the other way. I mean, I like it from the standpoint of it looks pretty beefy, and it's not so much a mommy vehicle, but in the end, like, just the way this is riding, I'm not sold. And I would say, if you're gonna order one of these, or I don't know, try and do something, go grab one of these off the lot, because in April or June there could be some deals on these things. I would say, well, you need to really consider the fact that Brian at New Car Spin does not like these two options, the steering and the suspension changes. But you should test drive your own. That's the whole point. I don't think the X5 is terrible at all. I mean, I would actually prefer, if you're just driving in the city and you're not really off-roading, or don't have a gravel driveway or anything, you don't even need the V8. They used to have a plug-in hybrid and diesels. I mean, they've got a lot of different flavors. Oh, dirt in. Oh. I mean, it grips. Oh. Floored. Kind of laggy on the change. Anyway, this is the BMW X5 M50i. It's not the X5 M. We're going to be able to get to do a 0 to 60 here too. So on this display here, it looks kind of basic. You can change it however you want to change it, but there's a button here called BC, which is old school on BMWs. It uses the trip computer and it toggles through the different displays. But if you press it here, you get your full display back. And that's pretty cool. You get your speed and your fuel and everything. And I'd like to be able to show you my average fuel economy. It's 16.2 driving like this. 28.6 mile per hour average, blah, blah, blah. Green light, ready? Floored. I mean, this is heavier than the Velar, but it feels just about the same. I know the Velar is pretty much the fastest Range Rover you can buy right now, and I know this is not the X5M, and that's kind of the deal here. It's like, do you really need this version? Do you really need the V8? I don't know. I mean, it's pretty efficient if you look at it, and the cool thing is if you go into Eco Pro, and when you're in the city on city streets, let's take it out of sport too. What'll happen is, you see that the tachometer goes to neutral. So what happens is it starts coasting. It's in neutral, and it's great for stop and go traffic or when you're in the city to save fuel. And I found that when I use this feature in downtown Dallas city streets and stuff, it saves me, or it adds to my journey, like another 3 miles per gallon over the average of the trip, right? So you go 9 miles, you gained another 3 miles in that same gallon of fuel that you used, because you're using this coasting feature. However, Eco Pro mode in any BMW is definitely a deal killer when you put your foot down. But they've managed to change it, and I think the acceleration in Eco Pro is faster than Sport Plus. So that's the other thing, is this BMW with its turbos and the way it drives, the dynamics of the suspension and the steering system, it's not predictable. I'm having a hard time understanding or knowing what this thing's going to do the next time I accelerate. The next time I take that same corner, it seems to be different every single time. And that's not even using this adaptive mode, which I'll use now. I would say if you maybe got there's some kind of available air suspension, maybe that'll be better. I don't know. I haven't driven an X5 with the air. I haven't driven the diesel X5 or the plug-in hybrid, but you can get the 40i, which is a inline 6-cylinder, more of a traditional BMW setup and more of the way the manufacturers are going these days. But if the V8's too much for you, I would say hold out for a little while and maybe go for a plug-in hybrid. And you can thank me later. And it sounds good. I'll give you that. It's definitely enjoyable to drive from the audible sense. But inside, I mean, I'm still in these uncomfortable seats that are tiny. They're not massaged. They're not vented. And that's kind of the thing. $97,000, and I still don't have all the features I'd expect on her $1,000 car. So that's it. I gotta go. I will talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and I'll see you later.